She wanted to create a repository of Anglo-Indian cuisine recipes that she took interest, and then she created she authored 8 cookbooks.
Yes.
And so today she is Chef Bridget Kumar, and originally she hails from
KGF,
Kolar Goldfields. I think all of you know that the Britishers, when they came to India and colonized us, and they were here for almost 400 years, some of the areas which they really dominated were the railways. One of them is the railways. The other one was, of course, the army. And some of the other places was like this Kolar Goldfields.
Yes.
So those were the people, I think, who actually started mining for gold in the Kolar Goldfield.
Yes.
And that's how also they married Indians.
And actually, since the mines provided so much of employment opportunities, people from...
A couple of incidents during your childhood in KGF, how the Anglo-Indians lived and what was the vibe and what was some of the favorite food during your childhood days?
So, I'll tell you about KGF per se, because that's where I grew up. KGF, our lives were totally influenced by the British, and there was no dearth of any British product, because this British mining company of John Taylor and Sons looked after their staff to such an extent that they didn't. So we had the English warehouse, we had Spencer's, and we had Ryan's Hall. So all the imported goods like Kraft cheese and Coleman's mustard and you name it, it was there. So we grew up in that sort of an atmosphere. So our lives were totally influenced by British culture, you could say, in KGF. So once the company closed in 1956, company didn't close, the government took over. The mines were nationalized after 150 years. So then there was an exodus of the Anglo-Indians going out of KGF, and the whole social landscape changed.
So tell us a couple of recipes you really enjoyed your mom making, aunties making.
Yeah, so there's a dish called Country Captain. It's made with chicken, and in the olden days it was made with, we had, since we were living in a mining town, we were in quarters. So every house had we were colonial style bungalows, and every house had such a huge garden around it, about half acre of space. So there was place to rear chickens and hens, and we had these hen houses, or what you call it, fowl runs. So we bred our own chickens.
I think Anglo-Indians have their own jargon also.
Yes. So this Country Captain chicken, has fond memories for me, because my grandmother would cook it every Sunday, and she was very particular about which hen or which rooster she would cut for that day. And then she also had a special dish made with homemade wine. Is something like your coquevin in France, but we used to call it rooster and wine.
I hope those roosters didn't have names. So today I'm going to kill George.
And then even our famous coconut rice and boiled curry. My mom was very particular about that the onions had to be chopped really fine, the coriander had to be chopped fine, and even the coconut milk was extracted from fresh coconut. So, all this, and even the mince was made at home. Every Anglo-Indian family had their own mincing machine. On the table, we had a kitchen table. One side we had the coconut scraper, and one side was the mincing machine.
I think the Indians never used minced chicken or minced meat earlier.
From the butcher, and we'd help to grind the meat. It used to come out in long swirls, and that was quite entertaining for us as children.
Keema was a legacy of the British.
Yes. No, it came as legacy of the Dutch.
Dutch, okay.
The Dutch brought in forced meat. They were the ones who introduced forced meat in India.
And I think finally they gave it to the Mughals and they started making
Yes.
kebabs with mixed meat. That's
And
the
then,
story.
yes, actually, and then this, our Scotch eggs is nothing but your Nandisi kebab.
Nandisi kebab, yeah. I think both sides were inspired
Yes,
by
by
each
each
other's
other, yes,
cuisine.
yes.
So the Khansamas, the cooks in
Yes,
the
so
palaces.
there were, like during this colonial period, no, there were two streams which came into existence. One, the Kansamas and Bavarachis and the cooks in clubs and in tea gardens. They innovated and brought out recipes like, you could say jalfrezi and other things, was recycled the next day, made into a sort of a fry. And in South India, we called it a devil fry. In Calcutta, it was jalfrezi.
So even we know that my wife cooks the previous day's idlis into upma the next day. I think we are also
Very
used
good
to
at
that.
recycling.
So that's very nice. So what are you going to cook? And a little about Ministry of Chutneys. I'm very thankful to Bridget because this has been my dream to start. They're made by the British households, by
Yes.
their cooks.
Yes.
And these were in fact exported in bottles to Britain.
Yes.
And
Worcester sauce also.
Worcester sauce,
Because
yeah.
of Colonel Sandys.
Yeah.
He was so intrigued with some chutney. Actually, it was nothing but, chaat chutney.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he took this to England when he went back, and he took it to one of those chemists and asked them to recreate this. And it didn't get the taste at all of what he remembered. And 2 months after, he just told them, just throw it away. The same barrel was just left in the warehouse, and after 2 months, when they opened the barrel, they found that it had fermented, and it tasted so good with the rose.
Wow.